Alright YouTube, got a bit of a different video today. None of the usual mincing about and falling off things. Doing a shoe review today. It recently occurred to me that I have 6 pairs of barefoot shoes, which is a bit excessive. So I thought, do something useful with it, get outside, and check out they're all like. I found it pretty useful when I was buying them myself, but you can normally only find it between the Vibrams and the Xeros. So I thought I'd add a couple of extras in there, and a couple of differences between some of the Fivefingers. Hopefully someone in the world's interested in this. If not, it was fun. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so I'm going to go through these sort of in order of ground feel. I don't know how else to go through them. It's going to kind of be warmest to most summery, I guess, as well. So without further ado, let's get on to the first ones. Alright, so the first shoes we've got here are the Tadeevo Winters. These are actually shipped from Poland. I believe they're handmade. I could be wrong. It's a small company anyway. As you can see, these ones are probably the most stylish of the ones I own. I wear these for work quite a lot. They're quite good for that. You can see here they've got quite a clever feature. Just here, they have a fake sole, or a fake heel, I should say. They are actually zero drop. There is no difference on the inside of the shoe, but it makes them almost look like a normal boot, which I quite like. They also zip up, as you can see. One thing I would say about the sort of fastening on these, it's a really good zip, but the laces, if I can find them, are far too short to actually tie. You can see there, it looks like you'll be able to tie them when they're on your feet, but that's a lie. That's it. The main downside of these is that if you're looking for ground feel, if you want to feel rocks and stuff under your feet, it's not really going to happen. Curbs and stuff, obviously, but yeah, you're not going to feel any like this gravel or anything like that. You'll feel it more than a normal shoe, obviously, but yeah, it's not great. So they're made of the leather and suede, as you can see, leather with the suede panels there. They're fairly waterproof, I have to say. You can walk through puddles and things with them, no issue at all. They're also thermal. See there, they're fair lined, and trust me, they are very warm, very, very warm. Put these down, and then I remembered another thing to mention. Don't wear them with bare feet. That's probably quite self-explanatory with the fluff, but me being me, I of course tried it. And what that will do is make the fluff come out onto your feet. The fluff inside these, I can't really show you with one hand, but the fluff inside these is now coming off because I wore them with bare feet. I have no idea if that'll happen if you're wearing socks, but there's a chance it will. I'm yet to email Tadeevo and see how you're actually meant to wash them as well. I've put all of the shoes you're going to see today in the washing machine. I've washed them by hand, they've been fine both ways. I've just used non-bio washing liquid, 30 degrees, and they've been fine. Absolutely fine. These ones definitely take the longest to dry out of any. I left these in the sun for 3 days straight, and they were still wet in the toes. I wouldn't put them on a radiator though, they're leather, obviously, but yeah. You can't polish them either. Not that you'd really want to, but I thought I'd mention that. Perfect for work though. These are probably the best if you want to look like you're wearing normal shoes. The Fivefingers, for example, probably not the best if you want to look normal, but that's not something that's ever bothered me. That's not something that's ever bothered me, so I wouldn't worry too much. Next up we have the Inov8 F240s. These are supposedly CrossFit trainers, which is definitely not an advantage, as I'll explain. I basically bought these for the styling. I'm not really a trainer person, but I quite like the look of these ones. I'll show you the sole there. You can see, I'd say the main use for these is if you want something a bit more barefoot, that you think you want to wear in a gym or something. That's why I bought them. But as you can see, that heel is padded and it is quite soft in there. They're definitely not zero drop, and if you can see the lines down the middle there, there's sort of a bar in them. You can see it says rope tech there. So that's if you're doing CrossFit and you're climbing up rope ladders and things like that, which makes them even less barefoot, because you can feel that right in the arch of your foot there, which is awful. Aside from that, I've also taken out the inner soles. They are removable. They're meant to be worn with or without them, and with them without socks, which is really nice actually. They're quite comfy without socks, and all this this mesh bit here is very, very ventilated. You can feel the wind through them when you're walking in them, so that's always a bonus. Aside from that, I haven't got much to say about them, except for they will be on eBay shortly, because they're the least barefoot trainers I've ever worn. But if you want a sort of normal half barefoot pair of trainers, I'd suggest them. Right, so this is the first pair of the Vibrams. These are the Trek Ascent. They do originally in the women's come with horrific bright purple laces. Equally thick to these, which is really nice. It makes them look a lot better. But I stole these laces out of a pair of Doc Martens, and they're the perfect length. So top tip there. So these made well for trekking, funnily enough. They're absolutely great for this sort of terrain that I'm in right now. Terrain, you know what I mean. Outside, not pavements, that sort of thing. One thing I would say about the fit on these is that with it being a thicker material here, because it is insulated, not thermal but insulated, which is quite nice actually. They are very warm, I have to say. Not waterproof in the slightest though. Watch out if you step in a puddle. It will soak up and it will be dry. It will take forever to dry. With it being slightly thicker though, you will definitely feel it between your toes more. I'd like to think if you're buying a pair of Fivefingers that's not an issue for you, but just a word of warning there. Again, as with all Fivefingers, really ridiculously grippy, completely zero drop, and you do actually get, considering the thickness of the sole there compared to the next ones I'll show you, you can actually feel quite a lot through the ground there. I've never worn these with socks. I don't know if anyone does wear Fivefingers with socks, but they're very comfy without. I've taken these on a couple of short hikes before as well, and they've done absolutely fantastically. But again, if you're thinking of wet weather, I probably wouldn't recommend that. So here we have the KSO Evo. It's the next pair of Fivefingers. They've got a very cool closure system on them. They're more for running and sport and that sort of thing. They'd be great for playing badminton or anything like that. This closure system is very clever. This bit here locks, and this bit here, as you can see, is Velcro. I don't normally lock it or Velcro it, and I've never had any issues with it coming undone, but it's nice to know they think about these things. As you can see again, really nice profile to them. The styling of these as well, it's an acquired taste, I'll give it that, but they do look alright with a pair of skinny jeans, I'll give it that. I recently wore these on a hike as well, and you will see they're a bit muddy. One thing I would say if you're planning on hiking with any Fivefingers is if you're walking through grass or any sort of long plants, you will get it stuck between the toes, and you have to pull it out. And you will feel it between your toes as well, so yeah, prepare yourself. Again, they're not waterproof. These ones are probably worse than the Treks. The Treks can handle rain at least. These can handle pretty much nothing in terms of wetness. They do have these are probably the best ground feel out of the Fivefingers I've got. They're technically the same sole or very, very similar to the next pair I'll show you, but I find these ones have better ground feel. The upper as well is very comfy. It's sort of like a tight rubber sock would be my best description. It's, yeah, I was gonna get rid of these actually, but honestly they're like slippers. That's the main reason I kept these. Again, one thing with the Fivefingers, they do stink. That's not a rumour. You will need to wash them a lot. a lot, and you will never completely get rid of the smell. So if you're very, very hygienic, maybe don't go for these. Right, this is the final pair of Fivefingers. This is the VI-s. This is, as you may have guessed, a women's only shoe. There may be a male equivalent, I'm not sure. I'd say the most interesting thing of these, aside from the styling, is this interesting buckle system. A lot of people complain about this, but honestly it works really well once you're used to it. So you can see there's a buckle there, and this bit just slides into that clasp, which is very hard to do with one hand. It just slides in like that, and the buckle against this other bit holds it tight, if my camera will focus. There we go. So you can see it doesn't actually slot into there, and you don't have to undo the shoe every time, but it makes a really nice strap against your foot. It's really comfy, it doesn't come undone. One thing I would say, the one criticism I have of these are my favourite pair probably. I definitely wear them the most. So they go with anything. You can wear them with a dress, you can wear them with jeans. I mean, if you're into that anyway. So this buckle here is probably the only problem with these shoes. As you can see, it's tiny, absolutely tiny. It's not attached either, which is quite a problem. So you can lose it if you're not careful. It's happened to me before. Went bowling, obviously had to take them off. Got some amusing looks for that. Housemate was killing herself laughing when I handed these in. But yeah, it's not actually attached to the strap at all. On the upside, you don't have to unfasten it at all. Once you've got it in the right hole for it to be the right tightness against your foot, it's completely fine. But yeah, these are very, very comfy. These are probably the comfiest pair I have, just because with it not going as high up your feet, you don't feel the shoe really at all. I'd say this is a very strange thing to say, but that can only really apply to these shoes. But these are the easiest ones to get your toes into. The Treks, for example, that can be a nightmare. If you can't spread your toes enough, good luck getting your toes into them, with it being quite thick between them. This one is definitely the easiest to get your toes in, and then the Evos after that, probably. So these are more of a casual shoe. I've been walking around here in them, hence they're quite muddy, but they do absolutely fine. I've done plenty of walking on sort of muddy ground, through parks, things like that. Cobbles, rocks, completely fine. If you're thinking about gravel as well, you'll find any Fivefinger will be fine on gravel. Unless you have very, very sensitive feet, in which case I'd avoid the Evos, but these will do you just fine. Right, so this is the last pair of shoes. This is the Xero Shoes Cloud, Amuri Cloud, I believe it's called. So as you can see here, I believe these have the thinnest sole out of all the shoes. I'm not sure what millimetre it is off the top of my head, but as you can see, the grip on these is really surprisingly fantastic with that chevron design. It's got an adjustable heel strap there, and you sort of half make them yourself. You can pull them tighter, and what I've done here is cut off the excess, and then you can melt it together, which I need to do again on this particular shoe. They're a bit covered in paint, I apologise. I was painting the outside of a house last summer, and I never scraped it off. They do clean very easily though, I'll give it that. The interesting thing about these is that this bit here is foam. So even though the sole looks this thick, when you're wearing them, it feels even thinner. These have the best ground feel of any shoe I've ever worn. It's like having a sheet of paper under your feet, honestly. I'd say the main downside of these is the fitting, because you have to get this knot in exactly the right place, you have to get this tightness exactly right, and the moment you start walking in them, all of that starts moving. You'll find they slowly, well, for me, this bit slowly loosens and comes off my feet. Although when they're new, this bit here has a plastic sort of rubbery grippy bit on it. As you can see on these ones, it's come off both of them. Now, I emailed Xero about this. They were absolutely fantastic, so useful. They sent me another pair of back straps, which I switched out, which is very easy. You literally just feed them through the two ropes on the side here. And that's happened again, which is very annoying, because when you get the fit right, they're so worth it. They're so worth it. They're fantastic. And as you can see, you can just roll them up, you can fold them up, you can put them in a bag. If you're ever thinking of travelling or anything, they're perfect. They float as well, which is sort of useful if you're at the beach or anything. I've worn these on sort of ground like this, sort of parkland. I've worn them on beaches. They're quite nice in the sand, actually. Obviously they dry instantly. The laces stay wet for a little bit, but they're not too bad. They're synthetic plastic, so a few people complain about this bit here, because the DIY version, you can do it so that it's thinner, or you can get them with the toe purse. I find the rope better than the toe purse. I think most people do, because obviously it can move and it's softer, but yeah. The toe purse as well, right there, is absolutely fantastic as well. I've had no problems with that coming loose or coming undone. I love them, I just wish I could get them to stay on my feet. And I think that is about it.